So we're seeing more and more of these AI created creative one-offs, right? These disruptive creative one-offs. But here's the thing. They can actually hurt your go-to-market strategy more than help it. And let me make a couple of points here. When a campaign or an asset doesn't align with your brand's core positioning, you lose consistency. And we all know brand consistency is everything. Because if customers don't know what you stand for, especially in restaurant tech, right, where trust actually drives adoption, that's a big problem. Another point is about internal friction. It actually, these creative one-offs create internal friction. And they do that because teams are wasting time debating direction or defending decisions instead of moving toward pipeline or revenue goals. So they tend to be sometimes time wasters. Another big one is that these AI one-offs are not about scale. They're really hard to scale. You can't repurpose necessarily that quirky, weird cartoon or that strange landing page if it doesn't fit with your broader messaging, right? It's a one and done. And usually one and done, especially from a brand story perspective, is not worth the time or the money. The last point I want to make is about you can see sometimes there's stakeholder fallout. And what I mean by that is that when these ideas aren't backed by customer insight or tied to the greater strategy, they can actually alienate your team and your leadership. So think of it this way. One flop, one of these creative disruptive pattern flops is all it's going to take for the C-suite, for the executives to start questioning all creative efforts. So marketers, be really, really wary about these disruptive ads that don't necessarily fit the greater scope of what your brand is. Why am I even talking about this? Well, because I want to be really clear. At Popcorn, we help teams create really great, bold creative, but it's always going to be with a strategy first lens. If your marketing isn't tied to the buyer, your message, and your revenue plan, man, it's just noise. So you got to make it work smarter. We need that objective. We need to develop the strategy. We need to knock down the different tactics that we're going to use, and we have to understand how we're going to measure that success. So, if you want to be disruptive, come up with great, consistent creative that's tied to brand every single time. Use that brand voice. Understand your key differentiators. Bake those into all of your positioning statements. Understand your customer, their pain points, and how you solve those problems, and do so in a creative framework that is going to resonate with who you're trying to attract in the first place. That's all that matters. Forget about disruption. Start thinking smarter about how you're going to attract the customers that you want in your client book. All right, that's it. I get passionate about this. All right. Ciao, everybody. This was fun. Another one.